This is the Bar Stewards Enquiry.
You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
Well, that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
And a big warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry St Ledger Doncaster preview. This is a very exciting show because we've got our full artillery out this evening. Joining me tonight is John Leng of John Joe's Blogspot on Facebook, Andy Richmond, former racing TV pundit and professional punter currently, and also professional punter and professional racing tipster is Quentin Franks joining us for the first time on Bar Stewards tonight. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Evening all.
Good John. Yes, good evening. So we're going to start the show off with a few little questions. The normal format for the preview show, if you've not listened before, is that we give our best three bets out each for the meeting, with any other possible mentions also, time permitting, and we'll also talk about the St Ledger at the end of the show, just to see what each opinion is regarding the current market on the final classic of the season. First question then tonight posed for the panel here. Ian Davis says, he's an avid listener of the show. He says, could the ground be faster than anything Hurricane Lane has ever countered so far this season? I'll start with you, Andy, on this.
Well, if they keep the taps off, I mean, if they keep, and they're not exactly noted for that. And the weather forecast I've seen is somewhat changeable. Let's put it that way. So it could well be, but I wouldn't be completely. I mean, if you look at what he's run on so far, he has run on fairly. It would be the quickest he's run if they don't tamper around or we don't get any rain. Now, it looks like it's been fairly sunny today and tomorrow, but that rather nasty weather forecast I've seen for Thursday could drop a load of rain on Donny, which is the imponderable. So we could do. I'm not so sure whether I don't know. I'm not sure I want to sort of go too near him anyhow. I have already, without preempting the end bit of the show, I have already backed one each way in the ledger anyhow. Which is short and slightly, but we'll leave that to the end of the show. So yes, he could do, but who knows what they're going to do with the taps or the weather?
Absolutely. Quentin, John, do you think Doncaster this season has been a little bit guilty for over-egging the pudding, shall we say, regards to watering?
Yes. Like you see it meeting out there, they knock the top off. It takes a couple of mils to turn it soft. Like it's horrible ground there. It's a horrible course. It's horrible ground. But I can see them. The only way you really get good to firm ground now is if there's rain in the forecast and it doesn't rain basically. And there's bits and pieces. There's bits and pieces in the forecast on Thursday. That's kind of, there was 5 mil forecast. Now that's disappeared. There's a bit on Friday forecast. I think they'll throw some down after tomorrow, possibly, and then leave it alone. But it's good. Fingers crossed it's good to firm ground, which is something that he's yet to encounter. I think Timeform have the quickest ground he's had, it being good. The ground would probably be a bit of concern given the damn Gale Force. She was a mud lover, so he's got quite a rounded action as well. It'd be a nagging doubt the ground for Hurricane Lane.
Fair point, Quentin. John, I mean, the Clark has chucked on 20 mils, including today, prior to the first day. Obviously, we've got the saving grace that tomorrow is going to be hotter than the sun itself. So that might rescue the cutting the tops off. I mean, what we don't want to see tomorrow, John, and especially you hear this, is all the topsoil coming up, and that's not really what we want to see as racing fans, is it?
That'd be a show of saying he's chucked a bit on, wouldn't it, really, you know? To be honest with you, I'm not too asked about the ground. I think the ground's the least of his worries. The sister woman good to firm. I'm not too worried about him. He get away with it once anyway with these tapes, and he's going further than he's ever gone before. So I don't think good to firm would be an issue. I think there's other issues to be discussed later.
Good stuff, right? Joshy47 has been on. It's his first question, so I thought I'd post this because obviously it's Doncaster related, and he's put two interesting horses for us to just have a look at. He said Devil Waller, chaps, thoughts for Thursday 3:45. It's 25-1 outsider. But looks a great bet to me. That's the David Loughnane trained runner, formerly with Rafe and Ralph brothers, partnered by O'Sheen in the saddle as well. And Josh thinks Devil Waller really should be probably shorter. And he also says about Andrew Balding's Who You Mal that won the Convivial in very, very good fashion. He really likes that for the Flying Scotsman, and he wanted our thoughts on those two horses' chances. So I don't know if any of you've looked at those two races in particular. If you have, give me a shout now. What we're thinking on those two?
Well, I had a look at Who You Mal. I had a fairly close look at it when it. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised he's going to well again with this one. I thought it looked an ideal type to stick away actually after it won the Convivial. I thought it still looked a little bit on the weak side, but you must be happy with this if you're going to go again. It's a nice horse, you know. I mean, I couldn't put him off.
So you thinking John better next year?
I reckon so. I think we'll make a 3-year-old anyway.
Yeah. Quentin, Andy, any views on Devil Waller or Who You Mal?
Well, the only thing I'd say about Devil Waller, I mean, he's stepping down in class. They put the old blinds on him first time out, last time out. Actually did best of the three that stayed more towards the stand side when he ran last time out at Newmarket. That was in the King Charles II stakes over 7 furlongs. Never really looked like getting into it. I sort of ignore that run. If you take that run out, you'd give him some sort of chance. 25-1, you're not going to do yourself any damage if you can get that. I don't see that it's an obvious play, but fair play for sticking it up at 25s. I mean, to say you're not going to do yourself any damage. It's not a race I've got a particularly strong opinion on, to be honest with you. Like just to sort of cover off a topic of sort of festivals. I mean, Goodwood is 5 days. You could probably fit that into 3, and probably Doncaster, you could probably fit 4 days into 2. If you took the majority of the sort of some of these handicaps out, they're they're a little bit too extended. I think the only 2 real festivals that stand on their own in this country of a flat variety are Royal Ascot and York, which are 5 and 4 days of superb racing. The rest are a little bit tenuous, shall we say.
Very fair comment. Quentin, anything for that on you? Do you think there or?
Devil Waller, it looked very much a 2-year-old, small, compact type. I don't think he's gone forward this year, to be honest. You can't grab someone for putting up a 25-1 shot, so it wouldn't be for me personally. But no, I don't particularly think he's well handicapped. Not for me. The Balding horse, I was surprised he won at York, to be honest. Being by Territoire, I thought he showed decent form on debut in the mud, and then he improved on it on fast ground, which I didn't expect, to be honest. Looks a nice type, like John said, and will be better next year. But it looks a decent Flying Scotsman this year. I'm looking forward to it.
It does, yeah. It's a high standard of race for sure. If and like you said about the sire. Who you might obviously he's made a blinding start with horses on softer ground. So like you said, I bet that took you by surprise. The fact that on Rattling Quick, he managed to do that. Maybe that's a sign that he's a smart sort. But then again, obviously we don't know what the ground will be. Depends on thunderstorms on Thursday. But if it's fast ground, there has to be a worry really on what we've seen so far. But we'll see. Good question, Joshy. Thanks for that. Woody has been on, Andrew Woodman, good listener of the show, and he said, anyone ever been to the Crown Hotel at Bawtry on Tomo's recommendation? John Leng, I'm coming to you first.
I did go in there once, but the first person I saw asked me if I was there on Tomo's recommendation, and I left immediately.
I can't say I've ever been to the Crown Hotel at Bawtry. I mean,
You
I
must
presume...
have done.
No, I haven't.
Everybody's been there. It's there in the Purple Door, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go there before you go to the Legend.
Well, yeah.
I've had lunch there. There you go. Not on Tomo's recommendation, but I have had lunch there on a non-racing day. The only thing to say that is, if anyone hasn't seen that video of Tomo at the Crown Hotel in Bawtry, I'm sure it'll be getting an airing over the next few days.
I'm quite happy to stuff Tomo's recommendation of the Crown Hotel at Bawtry with a hearty recommendation of the Purple Door if you're into Latvian hookers.
Right, I'll confess I've been in the Purple Door, yeah.
There we go. Now we're getting
Now we're getting somewhere. It's warming up now. We're getting somewhere. Yes, I've frequented the Purple Door. Actually, and I'm not going into it, but I got kicked out of the Purple Door as well. So there we go.
That's good.
Days gone by. Fantastic.
That's for another show, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we could do a certainly after the watershed kind of show on that one. Great question, Woody. Certainly got us going there. Right, we're going to move on to the best part of the show now, which is where you reach for the pink or blue button on what we say. We've got hopefully 3 fancies each for this meeting. And obviously, I'll start in reverse order. So we'll go for third best bet, second, and then first. So I'm going to go around now, and I'll start with Andy Richmond for his third best bet.
Right. I'm going to go the handicap route as usual. And I've got one for later, with it being my sort of fourth best. I'm not going for the Legends race, by the way, although I'm fantastically pleased to see that Gary Bardwell is back in the Legends race. Always worth watching the old Angry Ant. That tomorrow. But the third best bet is going to be in the Mallard handicap.
No. I need to correct you here.
Oh,
it is not the Mallard.
I know. Yeah. What's it called now?
It's a scandal. This is a scandal. It's called the Racehorse Lotto. Yeah. They can stick that as far as it'll go. Right up. I mean, as far as you can imagine it'd go, they can stick that title right up. It is the Mallard, as Andy says. It's correct.
3:15 at Doncaster. It's not the racehorselotto.com handicap.
No,
it is the Mallard handicap. Now, always watch out. There's actually only one 3-year-old running in this, and it's the Kilts. Now, I'm not going to tip it, but you might want to keep it on. So that's Golden Flame, who's the sole 3-year-old. Now, he's won this with the sole 3-year-old representative before, which was Time to Study. So just keep an eye on the Kilts runner there, because he might stitch you up, because it is the only 3-year-old. They used to have a really good record in this, and he's got 5 other runners in it, but that's not the one I'm going to put up. The Ebor was or York Form is a good guide to this, and unsurprisingly, or York Form as a whole is film, but one that would have got into the Ebor if he'd have been rated a bit higher was Prince Alex, who I was quite impressed with his Goodwood win. Now, he racked up 5 wins last autumn, now with Michael Bell. He had 4 of his potential rivals behind him at Goodwood when he won there. It's only gone up £4 for that Goodwood win. The ground is a potential question mark, because most of his best form is on soft or heavy. I think they may well pull him out if it isn't, if it doesn't rain or we don't shovel a load of water on it. Prince Alex would be my third best bet. If it does stay firm, then Shanro from the Ebor, who finished 4th, the Irish Nuts and Hay horse, would be the selection on good to firm. But Prince Alex, if there's any cut in the ground, is my third best bet in what we are still calling the Mallard handicap.
Good stuff, Andy. So the Mallard Handicap 315 Doncaster, that's on the
Friday.
Friday. Yep, the Friday, and that's with Cutting the Ground as a provisio is Andy's third best bet of the meeting. Quentin, I'll move to your third best bet of the meeting, please.
My third best bet of the meeting is Kingdom Come in the maiden or novice, whatever they call them nowadays, on Friday. I was umming and ahhing about him being my best bet of the meeting, but I'm not sure they'll run. I'm hoping they do because I think he'll take some beating in this. They give him a Dewhurst entry and a Racing Post entry. He's come 8 for 14 on debut. It doesn't really tell the whole tale. He was down the stand side rail on a day at Newbury. I think at the 2-day meeting, there was just a bias towards the centre. So he's came 8 for 14. But it's strong form. The second's one since, the fifth's one since, the sixth has one since. The 12th, Educator, I think, ran at Goodwood today. They backed that into 2-1. It probably the best horse in the race.
He got took on for well, he tried to beat the Prescott horse, and then got absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
The ninth in the Newbury thing, Galliac, that bounced out and that came second at Wolverhampton. Braden Star, I think it was, Roger Charlton, that came out the race and was given a quiet one at Kempton on Friday night. It just looks strong for him. There was stand side bias there. It doesn't look a deep maiden, to be honest. A few have run in the most recent days, and pedigree wise, the newcomers look nothing to shout home about. I think he'll win, to be honest. I think he should be favourite, but he's come 8 for 14 on debut, so you can see him putting him in at 6-7-1, and then I suspect he'll find his way towards the head of the market overnight and in the morning. On looks, I had him down as the best looker in the field that day. He cost, I think it was $500,000, and it's strong form. I like him a lot.
Fantastic. So Kingdom Come, obviously Clive's often come on for the run a lot. For debut, I like your notes there regarding the track position. Obviously, Wanny's the bigger bar stewards. Jimmy Lindley that came out and pulled harder than Callum Best and still managed to win at Ascot. So, like you said, the four it looks a decent. Herbert's Reigns come out and won. It looks decent form. So that's Quentin's third best bet of the meeting. That's Kingdom Come in the 110 at Doncaster on Friday. That's the Cooper's Marquis Maiden. Thank you very much for that, John. Your third best bet of the meeting, please.
I'm with my old mate from Saturday, actually, Carl Burke. I quite like his Bullet Horse in the 145 tomorrow. I'll be astonished if it's only an 82 horse. This was nicely back second time up at Sandown, didn't do a lot wrong, and then landed the odds at Mussey third start. Came wide into the straight, challenge wide. I think it's less exposed than most of these. I could say this finishing up 90 this year, and I think 8-1's very sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair shout because at Sandown, when it was second to Westover, I felt it was possibly on the worst part of the track towards the inside. And so then at Musselburgh, I had a lumpy bet. I know it was fairly short, but I couldn't see it beat, and I felt it was idling quite a bit. And the one it beat Diva's Boy came out and won at Brighton this week. So yeah, fair shout. I like that. So that's Bullet Force for John. That's his third best bet of the week. Currently, you can get 9-1 about that. So if you fancy Bullet Force with John, go ahead with that. Good stuff. Right, okay. My third best bet of the week is a little bit outside the box because that's how I like to think sometimes on the show. I think sometimes it's important to give somebody something that you can't really look at yourself. And I've banged the drum about Charlie Hill's targeting maidens at Doncaster for some time, especially at this Ledger meeting. Charlie has ran 3 debutants at the Ledger meeting. Perennial in 2011 won at 12-1. Ended up with a peak rating of 105. Glenard in 2012 won at 14-1 here on debut. peak rated of 100, and Crossford last year was third at 33 to 1 with a peak rating of 97 so far. So as you can see, Charlie obviously sends a nice horse to the Ledger meeting that's making its debut, and Beecher's is the one this week. I do believe trainers are a creature of habit. They like doing things that's worked before. And it was 100,000 as a yearling. And I just think Beecher's, yes, it's a bit of a guess up, and someone will say, well, this could be tailed off, but it's 18 to 1. And I think that's like Crossford was last year. On this very cast, I put Crossford up last year as an each way shout. I think it went about 2 to 1 on him running at 33s, and hopefully we can do the same again with Beecher's at 18 to 1 in the maiden tomorrow at Doncaster, hoping that this is one of Charlie's better types, and I really do subscribe that it might be. So Beecher's is my third best bet of the week for the Ledger. Okay, we'll go on to our second choices, and I'll go in reverse order. So I'll go first. And my second best bet of the week goes in the 140 at Doncaster on Friday, a very competitive Flying Scotsman. I took the listeners' points of views on Who Yamal in the convivial. Yep, I do like what you're saying. But I'm with one of my favourite cuts of meat, a ribeye, of Marcus Tregonin, Jim Crowley in the saddle. Indian Jim. You can't beat Indian Jim. Let's hope he's not going to India.
He's doing another one.
Yes. So I mean, so ribeye is my second best bet of the week. It was a very taking debut. He looked very inexperienced to me, but still came through powering late in impressive fashion. He was value for more. It was a decent time to boot, and the one the me that he thrashed in second, Buoyant of Martin Meads, is no mug. That had already ran to 80 prior to that, so you don't get many 2-year-old debutantes thrashing an 80 horse that looks 80 the way that he did. So I mean, the fourth has won a nursery off 70 since. 70 should bring out about a little bit of improvement, I feel, and I just think he's capable of running to 3 figures here, no problem. So ribeye. I think it's available around the 7 to 1 mark at the moment, with Indian Jim on board for the Flying Scotsman on Friday in the 140 race. That's my second best bet of the week. John, coming to you for yours.
On Friday as well, and I'm going in the Cazoo handicap. I don't know what the hell this used to be called, and that's Tim Easterby's Lampang. I didn't think that got the best of runs at Ripon in the Great St Lucie, where it was quite heavily backed. But I did take note of that. So I thought it looked in absolutely magnificent condition. And it caught my eye again at Beverley in the Bullet, which was catastrophically too sharp for it last time. Now, whether Tim ran it there just to give it a little tick over, I don't know. But to my mind, this horse is in tremendous shape, actually, despite the icky form figures, if you like. And I think it can certainly do some damage off 101. It's a bloody good price, this, against some fairly exposed stuff, really. I mean, it sounds daft, this, but I was struggling to find dangers, to be honest.
Yeah,
and
that's confident stuff. Yeah, 16 to 1 available. Yeah,
I'm really confident of a very good run. And I just hope that Sil picks Bielsa and we get thick there up.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Sil, I mean, he's not bad at the old gate jockey. I don't know, but I know what you're saying. You probably
don't let me that gate jockey nonsense at Donny, do we?
No, it's true. I was on Lampang in the St Wilfrid Small. They'd taken all my prices the night before, the varmints. So I didn't have very much on, but they did me a favour as it turned out. But Lampang for John is his second best bet of the week there in the Cazoo handicap. That's the 345 at Doncaster on the Friday. So thank you very much for that, John. Move on to Quentin's second best bet of the week after an impressive first bet recommendation. Quentin, your second best bet, please.
My second best bet comes in the Fillies Nursery on Thursday, 13:40. No idea what the race is called. It's a Class 2 handicap, but it's top weight's 82. Decent prize money on offer, but it doesn't look a deep race, if I'm honest. I kind of pulled apart a few runners in the race and don't like Prism. It's by Fast Company, fast ground, likely. Summer's Day won a poor Brighton novice in a dire time. Don't particularly like that. The one that was interesting, I've got two that was interesting. One that's been, the price is decimated, which was Nat Valley. John Himes mentioned it. They put that in 25 to 1 first show, and that's now, I think it's 8-9 to 1. That caught the eye. Step up in triple suit. It was detached at Ripon and came home under tender handling after getting short of room on several occasions. Good closing sectionals for that. Dick Dave doesn't ride that. Duran Fentman rides it because Dick Dave can't do 8-2. But the one I want on side is the Ralph Beckett trained Dagouille Francais. I actually laid her last time out on heavy ground. She's by Havana Gold, whose progeny don't really do well on heavy ground. I think it's 4% strike rate, 0.43 actual over expected on soft and heavy. Compare that to Good to Firm, 12% strike weight, 0.98 actual over expected. So I expected her to underperform last time. She won well. Second's come out and won a couple of races since. Extra half furlong will suit her down to the ground, the way she was pulling clear on the fast ground and then on the heavy ground at Windsor. So trip no bother. She cleared away. Second's Frank de Form. I don't think there's not too much not to like there. I think she's been put in at 5 to 1. Should be a little shorter than that. Maybe 3 to 1, 11 to 4. That's what I think I would have her in at.
Good stuff. I mean, yeah, like you say, totally concur, because that day when she ran and she was 3 to 1 at Windsor, I was hovering over the lay button. I didn't bother because I was struggling to I was looking at the pedigrees for the others and thinking, well, maybe nothing will go on this. And she was hating the ground for me, absolutely hating the ground. So, and what you see, the amazing thing for me is Rafe and Ralph's runners seem to get some very favourable marks. I mean, 78
looks light.
I think that's really light on what she's achieved anyway. So I think you could have spotted a very good bet there.
You look at the first Windsor run where she's when she won going away, that form's worked out okay. I suspect she'll be a 90 horse in due course. So there's a bit to play around with there.
Yeah. No, I agree. Great selection. So second selection for Quentin Franks is Dalkiri Francaise at around the 5-6 to 1 mark. Hopefully, if you can shop around for the 140 at Doncaster on the Thursday, that's the 6.5 furlong Nursery Fillies handicap. Great selection. Now to you, Andy. The tips are in form from the weekend. Can you give us a belter as your second choice?
This is probably a bit of an each-way chance, but in the very last race on Saturday, the 5:10, so the old getting out stakes, whilst you boys were shouting home cry turn on our day out at York, I was observing the 6th, Indeed, who was making his comeback from a very long time off, having his first run for Sylvester Kirk the Cat, and having been with Dominic many F's Davis before. Dominic, how many F's have you named Davis? I thought it was a really promising run. Travelled, if you watch the race, that horse travelled as well as anything throughout the race. Lost probably 2 or 3 places towards the end, just blew up basically. I really do think it just needed the run to bring it on. Has run well before in these types of races. That form has actually been Frank. The 8th Irish Admiral has won since. A couple of others have run reasonably well out of the race. Nothing that finished in the first 4 has run again, but it does look it was a Clipper Logistics race, a heritage handicap, and I think the lack of fitness just told, and Indeed looks a very, very interesting horse to me. Certainly the mark he's running off is well up to winning off a mark of 102. I know it's tough in a handicap, but it just looked as though this run would bring him on. And I just thought at a price, he was just one that I would, and he'll go on any ground. He's run on soft, he's run on good firm before. I don't think that's going to have to worry about the ground conditions. They've given him a little bit of a break since York, so he hopefully won't bounce. But he does look as though he's pretty much set up for another handicap, and he could probably, off that rating, you'd probably have a little go at listed or something like that with him. But fast pace, big field in a handicap. There's a few lurkers in there that we've seen, a few horses that we know about, horses like Dance Fever, Cruyff Turn's in there as well, Irish Admiral's in there, a few old favourites as well, Royal Fleet, which we've mentioned on the show before and ran very well at York. So it's not an easy race, but I just thought a price indeed was worth throwing in, and it might be one for the old getting out stakes on Saturday.
Because there's one piece of form that I'm looking at here that, it is fair enough. It's on every ground, but
yeah,
Lord North was the winner. Pablo Escobar second.
Yeah,
with Indeed third, with 6 lengths back to Aquarium and Air Pilot.
Yeah,
in the Seymour at Newmarket.
Yeah, whether he's capable of that anymore, he's open.
But it's nice that you notice it travelling well behind Cruyff Turn. Obviously, me and John were just obsessed.
Well, that's it. Well, you boys were honed in on that. I'm thinking, what's that going well in the old red and white colours there? And it was just one of those. He actually got into the lead about 2 out. If you watch the race back, and it's just one of those close home. He was looked after. But he just seemed to just blow up, and I just think that there was no point in beating him up. The horse had been off 14 months. He was 40-1, not really fancying the market. I can see him coming on for that run, and as you can see from his runs in the past, he's been a pretty talented horse. And old Sylvester does slip one home in the handicap sometimes. And I just thought, you might be better off waiting till there's no prices at the moment. You might be better waiting until Saturday, the old extended places, and that seems to be a fair shout.
Good stuff. That's a fair shout indeed. So that's terrible. Anyway, so Andy's second choice of the meeting is in the 5:10 at Doncaster. And that goes on the Saturday on the card. That's Indeed. Ben Curtis has been booked to ride for Sylvester Kirk, and it caught his eye very much last time at York. You may want to watch that and then see what the prices are. But Andy's very keen on that. So good choice, Andy. Right, we come now on to our very, very best picks, which is obviously the flagship of the round. Trying to think who to go to first. John, I'm coming to you for yours. I'm coming to you for your best pick of the meeting.
Well, this is going to set tongues wagging, I'm afraid, because this is a proper off the wall job. It's in the Flying Shoulders, and it's my old pal, the organiser.
That
I was waiting to run in the gym crack, and Mr. Chute decided he was going to play it safe and go to Salisbury instead. Smart move. He got dicked at Salisbury. So
was he pulling a little bit hard? Do you think that day when he got beat?
He was doing a bit too much in front. Neil Callan's on again. He'll have learnt from that. I think this drop to 5 furlongs and a searing pace will be the making of this lad. Having watched the July Stakes back, again, O'Sheen rode him that day. I think he could have made his move at any stage of that race, and then he got stopped and so on and so forth. And I just think that it's going to make up into a proper sprinter at some point. And I think this will be run to suit like nothing else this year. I think he's played a blinder shoving it in this, and I'm really, really confident of a big run.
He hasn't messed about either. There's O'Sheen in the saddle as well for you, John. It's a juicy 12-1. So John's best bet of the week is the organiser in the Flying Shoulders. That's a 2:10 race on the Friday. O'Sheen Murphy Joe Tweet for Highclere Thoroughbreds, and like John's pointed out, was very keen last time out at Salisbury. Probably wrong track, wrong trip, and John's hoping that this strong pace that is usual in the Flying Childers will pay dividends. So good choice, John, for your best bet of the week. Andy, I'm coming to you for your best bet of the week now.
Right, we're going to go with the shagging shirt. It's going to be out Saturday. Hurricane Ivor in the Portland. I've been after this horse all year, and he has been so unlucky. And of course, he got caught up in the photograph debacle at Sandown, then got beaten at Ascot when he was probably in the wrong place. Certainly was in the wrong place at Goodwood. Ran a fantastic race at York last time out. Just fits the sort of profile of a Portland winner. I think that sort of 5.5 furlongs would just about suit him just about right. Just to give you a few stats on the race, the last 10 winners have all emerged from stall 14 plus. So I'm winging it on the draw here. And if he gets in boxes 1 to 5, I certainly would be pulling the plug on him, because they are stalls to avoid here. But otherwise, he fits the sort of profile. 7 of the 10 were in the first 5 7 of the last 10 winners were in the first 5 last time out. 8 of the last 10 winners carried over 9 stone plus. All the last 10 winners ran within the last sort of 46 days. 8 were returning within 28 days. He's had 24 off. I just think he fits the profile of a Portland winner. I think this is a perfect trip for him. He got just a little bit on the back foot last time out over that sort of, it was on that trip that it was the trip they ran him over last time at York is almost, well, he's virtually the Portland trip. Do you remember they ran the Portland at York one year? I think it was 2006, and they when Doncaster was closed, and they stuck that race in as that distance in as a sort of thing, and he finished third in that behind Copper Knight, who he just couldn't fall back. And I think Doncaster will just suit him a little bit better. They do come back a little bit more there. So I'm going to go with Hurricane Ivor, but I will give one a very good mention, and I'm really frightened of this horse, Jawal, who's got a fantastic Doncaster record. I thought he ran an absolute blinding trial for this race on Saturday at Haydock when he came 4th with last year's winner, Stone of Destiny, in 5th. Those would be the 2 that I'd be really frightened of in the race, and I will probably back both of those as well. But Hurricane Ivor, around the sort of 8 to 1 chance, I think is my best bet of the meeting in the Portland, as long as he hopefully gets a nice high draw, which I really do want. If he did draw those death low stalls like 1 to 5, I'd be really worried. But a nice high draw, Hurricane Ivor, and the shirt may well be out on Saturday night.
Absolutely great tip there, Andy. So Hurricane Ivor for Andy in the Portland for William Haggis, and the shirt maybe out in the Crown Hotel at Bowtry. Anyway. Yeah, and the purple door. That could be the shirt out in the purple door. Jawal, a good point, Andy, as well. Obviously, it's a track. It does very well at this course, and it ran a very good trial at Haydock. Mondham Edge deserves a mention because obviously that won the race, and that's mine and John's future triple figure horse, flagship horse for the Anthony Britton camp. I think Mondham Edge could go well in that as well. But yeah,
I was surprised
like you said,
to see Ostilio not entered for the Portland.
John was furious. John was. I can't repeat what John said to me. Well, it's before the watershed. John was explicit.
Because he was the other one that I would be looking for. As long as Mr. Morris doesn't ride it.
I tell you what, if I'm in a parade ring before the end of the season with Midge, I will be creeping up behind him and he'll be getting a squeeze.
Good stuff. Yep. Ostilio, of course, is obviously Air Gold Cup bound.
Air Gold Cup bound, I think.
For the Midge. Quentin, I'm going to come to you now for your best bet of the Ledger meeting.
Well, I'm hoping the shagging shirt will be off. It'll be off. He'll be through the purple door, and him and Indian Jim will be having a few drinks. My best bet is in the Hippo Pro 3 handicap, which is 16:05 Doncaster on Saturday. I've gone for Majoran. He'll be favourite, but I hate the phrase group horse in a handicap, but I'm going to use it here because I think he is. He's off 95. He's gone up 10 for winning at Hamilton. He went through the race like a 747. Ben Curtis nearly put him through the rail, 2 out. Still came home to win by 2.5 wickets on the bridle, just hands and heels pretty much. £10 isn't enough. It's a deep race numbers wise. There's 20 entered, a few have entries elsewhere, but there doesn't look to be a lot of depth to it. You've got Living Legend from the Kilt. He'll try and make all. Good luck with that round. Doncaster. Title, who looks an absolute rogue on fast ground. I think he'll be better on easy ground. And apart from them two, I think they'll keep the price fair. So I'm hoping for 5-2, 9-4. It'll be towards the head of the market, but it looks like one where you're going to have too much money on him. And watch it from behind the sofa.
Great stuff. So Quentin, I love his analysis so far. It's his debut on the show, and to be fair, his analysis puts us to shame. Marajan,
far from it.
for Indian Jim, and the famous shirt wearer, they might be in the purple door that evening. So I mean. But anyway, Marajan is for Quentin's best bet of the week in the 405 Doncaster Saturday. That's the, I'd love to know, I bet this was called something very different. Hippie Pro 3 handicap. It's terrible. I mean, the BHA on these names, I can't be doing with this. Anyway, so that's a great selection there from Quentin. Myself, my best bet of the week goes in the Park Hill on Thursday. She's a big price, and I cannot believe the price, to be honest. 20-1 with Bet365, 16-1 generally available, and I'm with Pam Sly's Eileen Dover. The reason being, obviously, I put this up last time out. It was a very, very strong bet. I can't believe the price. It doesn't make any sense because I think you can be certain prior to the last win, Pam Sly would have been relatively disappointed on the switch to the flat. I reckon she probably expected more. The fact is, though, she's literally been done for two. She's been running over 12. They've been slowly run races, small fields, and basically, it's a case of she just didn't have the foot. She didn't have that kind of foot. The minute they dropped her in class, stepped her up in trip to 1 mile and 6, all of a sudden, that's where the improvement came. And she won with any amount in hand. I think she turns around the form with Free Wind, Urban Artist, Golden Pass, and yes. Well, I'm not saying I'm certain she will. I'm saying she's a very good chance. But this is 1 mile, 6.5 furlongs. That's 2.5 furlongs further than these steadily run races that she's been asked to sort of been held up in, trying to make ground and can't do it against, quality flat animals. So this is where I draw the line, and I say 20-1 is absolutely enormous. It needs a decent bet. I'm thinking probably half this, maybe even just slightly shorter than that, around the 8-1 mark. I'd be thinking Pam Sly's thinking at the start of the year with her Star Bumper horse that this horse would have been, this could have been the absolutely long-term target, the Park Hill. I reckon she's probably thought that. And as I said, the trip's right, the track's right. The ground won't matter. Good to soft. In fact, I'd probably prefer a little bit of cut, to be honest, but because it might slow down the better ones. But I'd still be happy on good to firm. It wouldn't bother me. I think Eileen Dover's a class act, and she represents my best bet of the week at a rather large 20-1. So that clarifies all our selections for the week. But of course, there is one matter that none of us have tipped in, and it happens to be the final classic of the season, which is the St. Leger. And, I mean, it's possibly a shame that we are looking at a short price favourite for the race. It'd be nice to have a competitive affair, but nevertheless, it is what it is. Hurricane Lane goes there as a short price favourite. Chaps, is there any way we can give punters something to maybe hang on to in the St. Leger? Something for the weekend. Can we do it?
Stunned silence.
Well, if nobody's going to go, I'll stick my hat into the ring then.
Go on.
As you're well aware, and as regular listeners will be well aware, I have a theory about Aidan O'Brien in the derby. And I think if these 5 turn up on Saturday, we'll have a similar scenario. Some of these are going to get wasted. He'll send 2 forward, and he'll sit 2 in the middle, and he'll sit 2 at the back. And the favourite will be in a bit of a quandary because he won't know whether to chase or stick or twist. And that is his big problem on Saturday. It's not form, obviously. He's got the bait of everything in this. But the big problem will be tactics if all them Aidan O'Brien horses turn up. He's got Carlisle Bay there. I mean, Christ knows why you'll be running that unless you're going to use its speed, you know. I mean, it palpably failed to stay last time. Why would you leave it in? That's going to blast surely. Need a stretcher turning in. You know, you've even got the fetus there with one in.
The fetus?
So throwing another spanner in the works. Interpretation will probably sit midfield. High definition will sit at the back. Probably with King of the Castle. So Lucan will be the other midfield one, and the Mediterranean will take over from Carlisle Bay at the crown of the bend. Now, where Buick sits, God knows. I wouldn't like this problem if I was him, because the Mediterranean will probably keep going. And will he look to one of the others to give him a tour to catch it, or will he have to go himself? Because if he does, I think he'll have 2 stalking him. And one threatened to be good last year, but has been shit this year. So, I don't know. But that's my theory anyway. I think he's got a headache on his hands.
It's interesting. You know, like you say, Johnny, if Coolmore do run all their entries, as we saw before with Serpentine, and we've seen in past derbies, there's been some funny outcomes in terms of pace of the race, and you know, Padraig Beggy winning derbies, you know, on 66-1 chances, and you know, it's like you said,
that was a sweep, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you know, it's a fair point you make. This is something that's possibly overlooked by the betting public, the media.
Well, I think it's seriously overlooked by people with chances in these big races. I mean, when you came to the 5-day stage for this ledger, you're not telling me that was the only one Godolphin had in. They could have shoved another couple in just to spoil the O'Brien's pacemakers. But they haven't given that any thought.
No, it's a fair shout. That's a real good shout if you put it on the ledger. Just keep an eye on those decks, folks, on the Thursday. Just keep an eye. Quentin, Andy, any thoughts on the ledger from your angles?
I did have a little dabble on one on Ottoman Emperor, who I think is a reasonable sort of. It was just a sort of each way shout, because I thought he was definitely he was going there, and that would be the one that I would put up against him. Johnny Murter he's done all right. He's done a favour over here last year with Sonny Boy Liston for me. The form is sort of, it's there, but again, I agree with John here. This could end up being a right old mess up, couldn't it? Really, it's not a race I really want to play, and I just had a small play anti-post on Ottoman Emperor in case anything happened to the favourite, and I thought it would probably shorten the interesting one out of the O'Brien mob for me is the Mediterranean, who was staying on again after cutting out the running at York last time out. But I thought that Ottoman Emperor was probably, out of all of them bar Hurricane Lane, was the progressive horse in that sort of form line. But it could end, as John said, it could end up being a right old mess, this. And poor old William Buick, I don't know whether he's going to, stick, twist, bust, or where he's going to be. But I wouldn't, and it's got the best form. But would I want to back it odds on? Probably not. I could even see it drifting a little bit on the day, and say the ground's probably the least of his worries. It's the team tactics that he should probably be watching out for. But as I say, I've had a small play on Ottoman Emperor each way anti-post, and the Mediterranean out of the battalions of the O'Brien mob is probably the more interesting one. It might be one of those to look at the sort of each way markets without the favourite and stuff like that, and have a play around with that. Sometimes that seems to be one of the markets that the bookmakers have a little bit of variety in, shall we say, at the moment, instead of being the same price across the board.
Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. Quentin, your thoughts?
Favourite looks solid. I think Andy hit the nail on the head with kind of playing it, maybe the place markets, trying to find something at a price just to creep into the frame, the 3 and 4 place markets. I was interested in Saver Forest. I thought she'll get the trip no bother, but she runs on Thursday. I think she runs now. She's been declared there, which is unexpected. Probably play Scope, have a few quid on Scope in the 3 and 4 place market. I think he'll get the trip. Team tactics, it's going to be run at a good gallop. Rafe Ralph's not stupid. I think he'll just sit chilly and try and pick up the pieces and go from there. That's how I'd play it.
Good stuff. Phil Bagshot's been on, and he said, remember you putting up Mojo Star for the Derby at a whopping price? Do you have any sort of outsiders for this? Just what Quentin said, really. If the ground came up on the soft side of good, I would be looking rather very attentively at the place markets for Scope. It's a rounded action. I think he'll get away with it over the mile and 6.5 at Doncaster with a long straight. As long as it wasn't too rattling quick, I think Scope gets away with it. But I'd be more confident if Scope had a little bit, good to soft. Let's say those thunderstorms came on Thursday and poured a load of rain over the Crown Hotel and the Purple Door and the works really.
But the Crown Hotel at Bartry.
Yeah, everywhere, just everywhere, just created floods like the Ark, Noah's Ark. Anyway, sound like Partridge. But yeah, so in reply to Phil Bagshot, I'd be with Scope if there was a little bit of juice in the ground, because there's one thing that horse will do, and that horse will stay well, and where others just will not. And I could see that picking up the pieces late for a place bet at maybe big odds. So that's my answer to that. The same as what Quentin said regarding Scope. Right, we hope you've enjoyed this show. We certainly have. We've given you our very best for the week, and hopefully it will give you some profit for the week. We've got an interesting show on Friday because we've got a mixture of expertise and complete absolute disgrace. Ginger Hitler returns on Friday. It's just, anyone, our listeners will be down on Friday because, the Ginger Hitler's no good. We've brought out the artillery for today. We've had Quentin's expertise, Andy's expertise, John's expertise. And on Friday, we I don't know why we're doing it. We're wheeling the Hitler out.
We could have a knife fight. We've got the Ginger Hitler and a former member of the Intercity firm live from the Crown Hotel at Bartry.
In fact, we'll market that. We should do this. We should go to the Crown Hotel at Bartry and record live.
Go to the Purple Door.
Yeah. Yeah, probably barred these days. But anyway, but Nick Davis will be on. He's a great judge, is Nick, and a lovely fellow. Even though he was a former member of the West Ham.
Just don't let him anywhere near a Stanley knife.
Yeah, absolutely. And bringing Stocker back, it's a disgrace. The Ginger Hitler, I can't have this. Like I said, going from this show to that. But anyway, we're back on Friday with a tremendous show. Me, John, Nick, and Chris, the Ginger Hitler. Big thanks tonight to Quentin for his first show. Brilliant debut. Andy, as always. John, it's been a pleasure. We hope we have a great week. That's all from us. Bye for now.